your emotion would have leverage. It would be like, oh my God, the pain of that is so great that I cannot have that. I will not have that. Nothing will stop me from doing this. And you would do whatever it took. And it's like that elevating of spirit that happens throughout the onset of the pain, and you don't succumb to it. I'm going to tell you the formula for like how you do that at the last thing I'll tell you here. But for now, they don't succumb to it. And then they have the tears because of the emotion that moved. What is mindset? There is this idea that I hear all the time. It's the idea that mindset is about pushing hard. It's about enduring pain. I actually had a call with a client, it was last week, and the belief that this individual had was that if I want to improve my time, what I need to do is get tougher and learn to endure the pain. And there's this kind of like prestige that we get, that we think that if we learn to push harder than everybody else, I will outcompete you, I will outgrit you, that I will win. And it's an illusion. And this comes from what is glorified in sport, on TV, in life. So with running, let's think of one of the most famous runners ever, right? Is Steve Prefontaine. Now, Steve Prefontaine, what a guy, what a runner. He's very inspiring. Now, how many movies are made about even Michael Jordan or Tiger Woods or Michael Phelps? It's like a big fat zero, but there are 2 movies about Prefontaine. Why would that be? Well, I think some of these other people maybe deserve to have a movie about them, but Prefontaine has 2 movies about him because of how dramatic, look at goosebumps there, how dramatic his life was. And he had this thing where it was like, I'm going to push harder than everybody. He has these quotes that are pretty moving, right? I got goosebumps again. I got one of these quotes up in my laundry room, which is my running room, and it says, the best pace is a suicide pace, and today is a good day to die. Okay, he said that. Before the Olympics in 72, he said, somebody may beat me, but they're going to have to bleed to do it. Now, these things, they fire us up because we think of Prefontaine as like, this guy's going to kill himself and he's going to win, or someone else is going to have to bleed in order to beat him. And it's pretty cool. And then we see him win a lot. And we think that it's his ability to push hard that gets him to win. Now, it's an asset to have, to push hard, right? But you and I, we could push as hard and get lapped by Prefontaine, maybe 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 times even, right? And it's not good old genetics. I'm not going to say that doesn't play a role, but people easily pawn off, well, they're really good because of genetics. Yeah. And they forget that they're training 100, 150, 170, 190, 200, 250 miles a week consistently, decade after decade, speed work, proper nutrition, coaches, massages, and they live at altitude and train full time. And we kind of forget that and say, oh, they're genetics, or oh, they were doping. And it's bull. It's their mindset. It's their mindset. Okay, so let's clarify more what mindset is. I'm going to share a couple of examples. I'm going to try to prove this to you, although the only proof that we can have is anecdotal, because you can't, are you going to prove mindset? You can just see what results people get when they do one thing and what results people get when they do another thing. And the minority actually have a superior mindset. Let's look at a couple of examples. Mindset versus emotion set. So when we think mindset, it's like in our brain, what we're thinking, mindset. All right. But whatever your biggest goals are in running, let's make it extreme. Let's say you want to take half an hour off your marathon, or a minute and a half off your 5K, or 5 hours off your 100-mile, or something like that. Now, do you believe you can do it in 3 months, in 6 months? Maybe. But if everybody you loved were taken hostage and they were all going to perish if you didn't do it, well, now could you do it? And most of the time the answer is, well, yeah, of course, because you would take extreme action. Okay. But why don't we take that extreme action now? It's because if our loved ones were held hostage, and I'm going to stop saying that now because it's a horrible thought, but if that were to happen, what would it do to you, not in here, but in here? In your heart, in your gut. Your emotion would have leverage. It would be like, oh my God, the pain of that is so great that I cannot have that. I will not have that. Nothing will stop me from doing this. And you would do whatever it took. You'd sell your house in order to get whatever, an ice plunge and a sauna and EPO injections, or you would do whatever it took because you had the emotion. So it's not mindset. Mindset is what the masses think. And they think you should take a sticky note and write, I am fast, sub 2 hour, blah, 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 and put it on your mirror and chant it and chant it. It's not a bad idea, but that is an affirmation. An affirmation is in here. An incantation is in your emotion. So mindset is like, what is the plan? Am I reading the book? Logically, what time will I run today? That's mindset. Emotion set is why you're doing it, what gets you to take action. Okay, so that's the difference. Now, here's the illusion. The illusion is that in order to improve, you have to work hard. And this is glorified as well. Now, I love these guys as teachers. I think of David Goggins, Jocko Willink, basically any big muscular ex-Navy SEAL influencer with a podcast who tells you to go hard and grind it out. And there's a lot of them. Now, they're speaking to a certain part of us that we like. But does it need to be hard? I'm gonna let you sit with that for a second. Do you need to push hard and kill yourself in order to have the result that you want, even in the race, let alone in training? We think that we do. Let me share 2 stories with you here. Jim Ryun, at one time the world's greatest miler, world record in the 800 meters, the 1500 meters, the mile. World record after world record after world record, the first high schooler to break 4 minutes in the mile. This guy was good. Now, he broke a world record, and it was either the mile or the 1500. He finished, and he said, that was the easiest race I'd ever run. Well, that's interesting, because if you're going to run faster than any human being over an anaerobic race, a largely anaerobic race, isn't that going to hurt a lot? But he said it was the easiest race he ever ran. So what does that say about his mindset? Is he having to unlock the ability to push really hard? I mean, if he tried harder, would he have run even faster? Probably not, because he ran as fast as he did in that race because he let go. It's kind of the opposite. He didn't push hard, he let go. And he ran a world record. Now, of course, he's like pushing, he's moving his legs as fast as they will go, but from a place of being relaxed and enjoying it. It wasn't hard, according to him. Now, let's take another example. That's the mile. Let's look at longer distances. Let's look at the marathon. And Eliud Kipchoge. Now, Kipchoge, every marathon I've ever seen him run that I can remember, he's always smiling in the final miles. And the commentator normally says like, and there's that Kipchoge smile. And it's like, is he grimacing with pain or is he smiling? It's kind of like the Mona Lisa. Is it a smile or a frown? What is it? And it's a smile. When you see Kipchoge, he's a happy man. He's fist bumping. He's not showboating. He's celebrating. And then he breaks 2 hours in the marathon or sets a world record or wins an Olympic gold medal. And he does it from a place of, just like Jim Ryun, a place of relaxed power. Okay. Usain Bolt, same thing. Now, different kind of race than most of you and I are running, 100 meters. But remember when Usain Bolt in the 2008, a huge margin. Okay. Was he pushing hard or was he had his hands up and celebrating and showboating? So there's 3 examples for you. We could go on and on and on, but I'm going to share those 3 with you for runners, but we're going to take it even deeper. I really want to drive this home to you because I'm telling you, hardly anybody gets this. A lot of people do. I know a lot of people who get this, but it's not, they don't represent the average person. They really don't. They're people who are at high levels in business, in athletics, in self-development. So as an introduction to the story that I'm going to tell you here, I want you to think about, but wait a second. It's not true that people aren't pushing hard. I've seen people who get across the finish line of a race and they're crying tears and they fall down and they're weeping. And we acknowledge those moments as like beautiful moments as well. But are they weeping and crying because they pushed so hard and it hurts so bad that they're crying as a reaction to the pain? I mean, I don't know. I guess we'd have to ask them. But I would wager to you that when you cross the finish line and you fall down crying, it's not because you're in so much pain. It's because you experienced so much pain and suffering in the race that you chose in your emotion to not succumb to. And you showed yourself who you are. And it's like that elevating of spirit that happens throughout the onset of the pain, and you don't succumb to it. It's not by pushing, but it's like you just don't succumb to it. I'm going to tell you the formula for like how you do that at the last thing I'll tell you here. But for now, they don't succumb to it. And then they have the tears because of the emotion that moved. You don't cry very often, do you? Because of like the pain, maybe, but you could stub your toe really hard and you might swear, are you really going to cry? I don't know, maybe sometimes, but why do people cry? It's an emotion. So once again, it's not mindset, it's emotion set. Okay, now here it is. I can think of 2 examples that really take this home, and they're both gymnasts. Okay, I'm going to tell you about one of them, the more famous one. You might know who this is. 1996. Now, here, story time, okay? Lock in. This story is very important. I don't want to just tell you what happened. You have to hear the lead up to it. Okay. Kerri Strug, 1996, Atlanta Olympics. She's part of the U.S. women's gymnastics team. They're called the Magnificent Seven. Many of the greatest gymnasts who have ever lived, all on the same team at the same time. Now, there's this interesting competition going on between the United States and Russia. The US almost always lost to Russia. I think maybe literally always. And it was like very dramatic. You know, Russia would just like find a way to come out on top. It's like the curse. And so here we are at the Atlanta Olympics, and the US women's team is winning. They're doing really well. They're going to break the curse of Russia versus US. It's going to happen. So what happened? It gets down to the wire, as if it could be any more dramatic. It got down to the last event, the vault. Now, Kerri Strug, she needs to make a pretty good score, and the US is going to win. And on one of her vaults, she lands and basically like snaps a ligament in her ankle. It's really bad. But in gymnastics, if she doesn't do her next vault, she gets a score of 0. Now, they only needed like a whatever, an 8, whatever it was, to win. It's not even that. And she could get like a 9 point something, right? But she'd get a score of 0. And the US, they're done. The curse of the Russian versus US happened again. But Kerri Strug, this little girl, I don't remember how old she was, but she's very young. She was like late teenager, perhaps. She was going to do this vault. Okay. In order to do the vault, she needs to sprint, not run. If she doesn't have full speed, she cannot translate it into vertical. She needs to sprint all out on a like really contorted, broken, horrible ankle, okay? She doesn't have to just do the vault. She has to land it. And you know, in gymnastics, you have to stick that landing. Otherwise, she cannot get this score. How the heck is she going to do this? Now, the whole world is watching. This is like maybe the most dramatic moment I can think of in all of Olympic history. And it comes down to this. She sprints as if her ankle is fine. She's up on her toes. You would never know. She hits the vault. She twirls and tumbles and does her crazy thing, and she lands, boom, on this horribly mangled ankle. And she has to stick it for however long, like a half a second or 1 second in order for it to count. She sticks it. She does her little flare, her little bow, and then she falls down. And her face, she's in pain, she's in agony, and they carry her off. But she did it. They tried to take her to the hospital after that. She said, "Don't you know?" And her coach said, "Don't you dare take her to the hospital. Nobody's going to take you away from being on that podium." And you see her up on the podium, the 7 girls, and she's standing on one leg. It's all wrapped up. She's got tears. Everybody else is smiling. She's crying. She's in so much pain. Now, was that mindset or was that Emotionset? So now I'm going to tell you how she did it and of a little formula. It's a very simple formula and we'll be done. But how did she do that? It wasn't pushing hard. Did she push hard? I actually don't think so. She didn't push hard. When she's sprinting and doing this Olympic vault, she's not thinking, she's not pushing hard. She's just executing on the thing that she's practiced 100,000 times or 10,000 times, whatever, right? She's just doing the thing. She's in flow. Sounds like Jim Ryan, sounds like Eliud Kipchoge. She wasn't pushing. She was relaxed and in flow. So how did she do it? She did 3 things. This is in no particular order. The first thing is, what do we focus on? So if you have a take-home message, if in your notes there, write these down, okay? What did she focus on? If she focused on the ankle, it's going to hurt. She's not going to do it. If she focused on the vault exclusively, 100%, there's no room to focus on the ankle. If she focused on the vault 50% and her ankle 50%, it would hurt. And we have a split focus. This is what being in flow is. It's one thing. It's focus on one thing. Time goes away, problems go away, nothing matters, just the one thing. That's what flow is. So her focus. Now, how is she able to focus on that? Easier said than done. If we take a sledgehammer and break our leg right now and then try to focus on running, it's probably not going to work. Why? Because she had not just a focus, but number 2, a strong enough reason. Her reason for her, don't know like the exact reason for her, but like the external reason was to perform on the vault, to win the gold medal, to break this thing, to help her team, to love. It was more than just about her. It's about the Magnificent Seven. This is her life. She trained for this. This has a lot of meaning to her. So she has reasons to do this. And it's not just like the hardware of the medal. It goes deep, very, very deep. And this was the more dramatic it is, the deeper the emotion moves. That's why, at the Olympics, we see great performances oftentimes because it really matters. Isn't that interesting? Why are there world records at the Olympics a lot of times? Because it really matters. So it moves the emotion. So her focus, she had very strong reasons, emotional reasons. And then here's the biggest one. This is your biggest takeaway. If you hear nothing through any of our coaching ever together from any Q&A, here's the number one thing that I want you to know and think about and do. And it matters more than anything. I'm telling you right now, this is the number one thing for any high level of performance in any area. I know this for sure. Here it is. Simply that you make a decision. Mic drop. And a real decision is measured by the fact that you take a new action. Okay. But it's making a decision. So Kerri Strug had decided that this vault is done, and it's done well. And it's done at a 9.7 or 9.8 or 9.9, whatever. It's done very well. She decided that it's done. She saw it as completed. She did not do the best that she could. Nope. She did not give it a try. Give it the old college try. Well, my ankle's broken, but I'm sure gonna try. Nope. That's what most people will do. I'm going to try. And like Yoda says, is no try, only go, Skywalker. Is that what he says? I don't know. She didn't try. No, she saw it as done. I don't know how it's going to get done. My ankle's freaking garbage, but it's done. And she skips right over. See, ankle's garbage, doesn't matter. Skip to the end, it's done. And there's nothing in between. Ankle's garbage, broken even, skip to the end, it's done. And if she believes that it's done because she made a decision that it's done, not a wishful thought, not a goal, but if she decided that it's done, I don't know how this works, but I know that it works. It like in miraculous ways that I cannot explain, it gets done. And this is what you need for yourself. If you want a high level up in anything in your running, for example, a big level up, you must decide that you're going to do it. Now, you don't have to. If you don't truly decide and you set it as a goal, might you still hit it? Yeah, but are you going to hit it with a broken foot to win an Olympic medal? No. So these big goals that we may have, you're not going to hit those unless you decide. Like, did Kelvin Kiptum decide he's going for a world record? Or did he decide, better said, did he decide that he's running a world record at the last Berlin? Yeah. So I leave you with that. Focus, reason, and make a decision. If you want some more resources on this, I highly recommend a couple of books to you by Napoleon Hill. The book that I recommend the most, if you're a reader and a big honking like encyclopedia is okay with you, I recommend The Law of Success. It's either the first or the second law in that book is decisiveness. And he explains this. Drill it into your brain. You'll see this definitively. But you can also cheat a little bit and you could read Think and Grow Rich, the kind of distilled version of that book. I recommend reading one of those. I think that at least one of those is a must read for every human who's trying to live a great life. Thank you so much if you're one of our readers who's got the book and left us an awesome review. But if you haven't yet, go ahead and pick up your copy. Run Elite. It's on Amazon right now. It's on Audible right now. Train and think like the greatest runners of all time. If it weren't for you guys, we wouldn't have even made this. So take care, and thank you for making it a success.